at the home of the Jazz. Tonight, it's the home of the Big Three. Matchup number 2, Ball Hogs versus the 4-1 Triplets. With Brandon Tierney, Avery Johnson, I'm Carter Blackburn. Triplets 4-1, power 4-1, meaning if you want to hang on to first place, you got to beat the winless Ball Hogs tonight.
You got to beat the winless Ball Hogs, and the Triplets had a tough loss last week, and I just think the big key is, ISO Joe, because, he's been below zero, Joe. He haven't gotten any rest. So, with this trade that they made for Jamario Moon, it's going to be interesting to see if he can become that third scorer for him.
And as we take a look at the rosters brought to you by State Farm, that's where you begin with Triplets, because Jamario Moon is the addition traded from the Ghost Ballers in exchange for Chris Johnson. Josh Childress injured, won't play for Ball Hogs. So it's going to be Will McDonald having to step up for a winless Ball Hogs team. 0-5 against 4-1. But it is all about ISO Joe Johnson. And he has led the way for the Triplets, led the way in the Big Three with 3 game winners. No one has come close to stopping ISO Joe Johnson.
Joe, he's in phenomenal shape. He can shoot the ball from half court. If we had a 5-point play in the Big Three, he can make a 5-point if we had it.
It is another Hall of Fame coaching matchup, because you have Lisa Leslie coaching the Triplets in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, as is Rick Barry, the 12-time NBA and ABA All-Star, trying to lead the Ball Hogs to their first win of the year. And by the way, 2 first-place teams in the Big Three, Nancy Lieberman coaching Power and Lisa Leslie coaching Triplets. So big presence from the female head coaches in the Big Three.
And talking to Lisa on yesterday, she was really excited about the addition of Jamario Moon, because she said they desperately need a third scorer behind Al Jefferson and Joe Johnson.
There's Jefferson from ISO Joe Johnson, and the former Jazz players doing it to get it started for the Triplets. Very nice reception from the folks here in Salt Lake City for those 2 former members of the Jazz.
And that's what I love about the fans here in Utah. They really appreciate when guys wore a Utah Jazz jersey.
Scalabrine versus ISO Joe. Behind the back into the hands of Joe. Oh, Scal. Well, it didn't turn into the finger roll there for Joe Johnson. But the between the legs, behind the back, no look from Scal. Didn't work out.
I think if Joe had to do it all over again, he would dunk that basketball.
And now here's Joe on Scal. Draws the double, creates. Gibson trying to follow the miss. McDonald has the board. Sean Stevenson, quick trigger 3. Gibson has the board. Joe Johnson far to get it started. No ISO needed for Joe from 4.
They got the fans off their seat. Joe Johnson, you got to guard Joe when he gets off the bus.
And then Joe reaches in on a foul, but yeah, you celebrate that one for a while.
Sean Stevenson, he knows better than that. You got to get out there and what we call rush Joe Johnson.
And what'd you say about range? If there was a 5-point shot, you know Joe would have it in the game, because that 4 clearly, especially when you leave him alone.
Yes, he has unlimited range.
Perfect time to tell you about that 4-point shot. Any part of the 4-point circle. Playing to 50, no game clock, have to win by 2. Halftime at 25. Jefferson on McDonald. McDonald has the board. Back into the hands of Scal for the winless Ball Hogs. McDonald in tight on Joe Johnson. So there's a matchup that goes for the Ball Hogs. McDonald with ISO Joe.
Yes, and the Triplets is going to have to do a better job of getting ISO Joe the ball, especially if Scalabrine is matched up with him defensively.
Johnson on Stevenson with help from Scal. Johnson in tight on Deshaun Stevenson. That looks too easy.
Yeah, that's something that Joe's had in his game from day one. That left shoulder jump hook. And basically all of the scoring from the Ball Hogs comes from Stevenson and McDonald. Our guy, Scalabrine, had 4 points last week.
Blowing it up for early points.
I told him I was predicting he's going to get 8 this week.
Joe, no look. Gibson couldn't finish but draws a foul. So Joe Johnson, 4 points, and then that opens everything up with a nice look.
Whenever there's a commitment with 2 on the ball, somebody's open. I was really impressed, again, in talking with Coach Lisa Leslie yesterday. She said, I thought the loss wasn't going to affect me as much during the week. But she said, my entire family, and her son MJ is here with her. She said, my entire family said, you know, Mom, why are you in such a bad mood? She said, because we lost.
And that is the fight that Lisa Leslie has always brought up. There's MJ.
There's MJ, handsome boy.
Camera's going to find him. He's going to find the camera. And that was an intense loss by 3 to Power in an epic battle in Kansas City. So those two in first place now, and Joe Johnson, 6 of the first 8, including 4 for Triplets. An early 3-point edge in Salt Lake.
Big 3 basketball on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by TGI Fridays. Endless apps. Pick one app, then another endlessly. Available all day at TGI Fridays.
In Salt Lake City, Triplets early lead on Ball Hogs. Last week, Brian Scalabrine in Oklahoma City. He, in fact, was a Ball Hog early, the pride of Long Beach, California. 4 points. They were all early. Then Scal went to talk to Brandon Tierney. And he did not score again in the game. Now still D'ing it up, but the jinx from Tierney, and now an effort to reverse the bad voodoo between Brandon Tierney and Brian Scalabrine.
Hey, if there's one thing I'm not a mush, we're not putting this guy in the bedroom. We're not putting him in the bedroom. All right, Scally, everybody loves this guy, so I got to make sure you and I are okay. I saw you tonight before the game. I said, my bad, I may have jinxed you maybe. And what did you say?
Here's the deal. See, you only look at scoring. Go talk to Avery Johnson. It's about the little things. That makes it different. You say you jinxed me. I did things that helped us win, even though we lost.
You did. And more directly, he goes like this, guys. He says, hey, you don't hang around 11 years in the NBA without making buckets, setting screens. So it's the little things, right, Brian?
Yeah, like that between the legs pass to Joe Johnson. You see that? That's the little things that matter.
Hey, keep that one in the back pocket. That wasn't pretty, man.
I ain't bringing that one out.
Thanks, Brian. All right, guys.
I like that. I like that quote. I did the things to help us win, even though we lost. That was that was a good one. That was a good quote.
That's pretty good, BT. We got to reverse the curse, though, tonight.
Reverse the curse for Scal.
Scal.
All right. Now, a man can dream. You know, that's when we had him. After he had the block, we put him on triple-double watch. And there were categories in all of that. Now, Ball Hogs are disappointed early at some whistles going the Triplets' way, and a 5-point lead early for Al Jefferson, Joe Johnson, and Triplets.
Yeah, but Scal is right. It's all about the little things. It's not just about scoring, but you have to be able to contribute offensively, especially here in the Big 3, because otherwise the defense is basically just playing 3 against 2.
It has been Al Jefferson and Joe Johnson leading the way early. 6 of the first 8 came from Joe Johnson. 3 goes. Well, there's another punch off the bench. It's Quintel Woods. Joined up with the Ball Hogs when Jermaine Taylor went down. Johnson baseline.
This game is, you know, big guys with Jefferson and McDonald. Which big guy can have an impact offensively in the game, whether it's on the post, pick and roll?
Lay D, Jefferson knocks that one away.
Yeah, McDonald. Yeah, that's what we were saying.
That's tough.
Yeah, that's a tough shot.
I mean, Al Jefferson makes it hard and you hit it anyway.
That looked like a Karl Malone fadeaway.
Yeah, that's right. I think you're right. No No roll needed. Johnson draws a double, creating for Gibson. One more pass, Jefferson with a head fake and a finish. And Al Jefferson has brought his game to downtown Salt Lake City again.
When my teams played against Al Jefferson, specifically when he was playing here with the Jazz, one of the major things on the scouting report in bright red letters is do not fall for his pump fakes.
And then you cannot leave Joe Johnson alone. Jefferson and Johnson, it may be triplets, but the big two leading the way, trying to get him to 5-1.
Joe Johnson has that look in his eye offensively. He's really feeling it.
And now McDonald on Jefferson. McDonald, did it hit the rim? Apparently it did, because Johnson's going to clear it. Johnson on Quintel Woods all the way. Draws a foul, couldn't stick it. Joe Johnson and Al Jefferson both aggressive.
The Ball Hogs, if they want to win this game, they're going to have to play better defense. But great ball movement by the Triplets. Joe behind the three-point line, which, you know, in all the years of basketball, that's the easiest three, the corner three-point shot.
Left him alone for 4 and then left alone for 3. So Joe Johnson to the free throw line. 1 shot, 2 points here.
What I love about Joe Johnson, he's just so skilled. The guy, he's crafty. He's smart, high basketball IQ. It was a pleasure to coach him when he played for me with the Nets. He had the same temperament every single day in practice and games. Never, ever got rattled or got out of sorts. Always had the same focus every day.
And led by Joe Johnson. Triplets 4-1, power 4-1. Johnson, step back on Quintel Woods, skates, and a triple. Triple trouble. Joe putting on a show. 10 straight triplets run, and Joe has an early smooth 14.
Boy, if we were playing in Detroit, we might call him Smoking Joe.
Ooh. We can call him Salty Joe Johnson in Salt Lake City. He has the last 8. Anderson lets it fly. Well, the Jazz fans who showed up for Joe Johnson and Al Jefferson have gotten the money early.
Yeah, they're getting more than their money's worth.
Jamario Moon, first action with the Triplets. Trade this week. McDonald's trip, Joe, easiest 2. His 16 first half points have led the Triplets on an 11-0 run and a 12-point lead at the half. All about Joe.
And Joe, early in the game, with the Scalabrine between the legs pass, missed the layup. He said, I'm going to dunk this last one. Cannot leave Joe Johnson open. Got his feet set. Great look at the basket. And Joe was saying, hey, I'm used to these rims in Utah.
Joe has the last 10 points for the Triplets. It may be Big 3, it may be Triplets, but the 12-0 run by Triplets, Joe and Al Jefferson, the former Utah Jazz ballers, doing it now for Lisa Leslie's Triplets, and Coach Lisa Leslie is with Brandon Tierney.
Loss, because I heard you were kind of ornery around the house this past week.
Oh yeah, I've been awful. I hate losing, and I found out for the first time, since this is really my first time coaching, that it feels the same way as a player or a coach. So sorry to my husband and my kids all week, but you know, I really just hate losing, and we didn't have to lose that game, but it was a good loss for us. We learned a lot. We had a great practice yesterday, and really happy to come out. We have the lead. We finally came out strong, but, you know, it's another half, so we got to finish strong.
Meanwhile, your little guy's like this, come on, Mommy, let's get it done. And your husband's like, come on, Mama, get a win. You guys jumped on him pretty early. You're looking pretty good so far.
Well, we look good. We're really happy with our trade, having Jamario Moon added to our team. But I think overall execution, I thought it was a great loss for us, losing the power. It's going to keep us hungry. You know, you can never underestimate the competition. playing against a team that doesn't have any wins, we still have to be focused and ready to play.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
There you go. Hey, champions never take L's sitting down, right? Back in the laboratory.
No question, Joe has earned his trip to the bench. Salty Joe Johnson and Al Jefferson leading the way for Triplets. 12-0 run sending us to the half and a 12-point lead for first place Triplets. Triplets with a Jazz flair here in Salt Lake City with a 12-point lead. They close the half on a 12-0 run. Well, you told you about Al Jefferson and Joe Johnson lead the way for Triplets, but these are all of the Big 3 players who are here tonight. Deshaun Stevenson, Andre Owens, Brandon Rush, in addition to the Triplets, Big 2 of Joe Johnson and Al Jefferson, who have spent time with the Utah Jazz. And Al Jefferson and Joe Johnson have brought it all for the Triplets.
Yeah, both Al Jefferson and Joe Johnson, they're imposing their will on this game. This is a game, obviously, they have a lot of pride coming back to play in Utah, but, they want to stay at the top of the. And they know offensively their team really depends on them, especially until they can get Jamario Moon accustomed to what they're doing with their team in terms of their system.
Jefferson and Johnson combined for 24 of the Triplets' 26. So, Avery, I'm guessing that whatever happens in the second half is going to be based around those two guys.
Yes, and they're going to need to have a strong finish. And Lisa Leslie and I talked on yesterday, she wants to try to get Joe some rest, but not the way he's playing now. He's on fire, so she's probably going to play him the rest of the game.
That's just good coaching. Al Jefferson is doing his part. He's with Brandon Tierney.
All right, big man, welcome home. First of all, 8 points early. You got loose. How do you feel?
Feel good. You got to catch your second win here with this thin air. So, I just wanted to start the game off, get that sweat going.
You had 3 really good years here, about 18.5 points a game. Utah fans, great reception. Little extra pressure to put on a show?
Oh, no, man. When you've been around longer than I have and played for 5 NBA teams, you go to a lot of homes. I got a lot of homes in the NBA. So, it's still the same to me.
All right. Good to see you, Al. Thanks a lot, pal. Okay. No pressure, he says.
No pressure. Some nice ink. Salt Lake Tribune last couple of days with stories on Al Jefferson and Joe Johnson, and you feel it here. They appreciate what they did with the Jazz and here to support them in the Big 3.
Yeah, it's funny. When I landed yesterday, I picked up the local newspaper, and they had an incredible article specifically about Joe Johnson. And it's just great to see, the Big 3 getting that type of publicity and people really paying homage to how special Joe Johnson was here in his limited time.
Well, Jamario Moon's going to pick up a foul here. It's a tough start of the second half. Lisa Leslie runs a play to get Jamario Moon the alley-oop. Frustrated he can't finish it, and then he gets a personal foul. First game with the Triplets coming over in the trade from the Ghost Ballers.
It's important right now for the Ball Hogs because 4 of their 5 losses have all been by double digits. And, here they are again with a double-digit deficit, and you're basically climbing up a hill the entire game, and it takes an enormous amount of energy.
And we go through an injury with Josh Childress, so you lose one of your captains and leaders on the floor. Meanwhile, the Triplets, after that one loss to Power, trying to bounce back. Joe, Quintel Woods making it hard. Quintel Woods, the veteran. Joe Johnson, step back on Quintel. D'ing it up, Mr. Memphis, Quintel Woods.
Yeah, and good defense. It's interesting to see Lisa Leslie starting Moon, trying to run the first play for him on the live to get him going here in the second half.
Joe again, 19 on the Triplets, 29 from Salty Joe Johnson.
I think Joe was saying, did you guys read the scouting report?
Oh, Little Rock, Big Rock. Marcus Williams comes back with a much-needed 2 for the Ball Hogs. 13 straight points now from Joe Johnson for Triplets. A 7-time NBA All-Star. Yep. Setting up Pargo.
It's important for the Ball Hogs to try to get the ball out of Joe Johnson's hand and force somebody else to score.
Well, here he is again. They run 2. McDonald gives the foul. That's just about the best defense you can play on Joe Johnson right now.
Yeah, when you get in all of those what we call 50-50 ball, loose balls around the free throw area or in the lane, those add up because it goes on the hustle points board. And when you're making threes or a 4-point shot, you get him to the free throw line, it puts a strain on the defense.
21 now of the Triplets, 31. 15 straight points for the Triplets from Joe Johnson. Nice dish. Williams to McDonald in tight.
And I think that's something that Coach Rick Barry wants, to get the ball to Will McDonald a little bit more.
Moon off the look from Joe Johnson. Moon in tight on McDonald. There's his first bucket. Member of the Triplets. Goodwater, Alabama. So for the Ball Hogs, you're 0-5 this year, and 3 regular season wins. There they are, and it has been since July of 18 versus the Ghost Ballers. So long drought for the Ball Hogs and an extremely tough matchup tonight. And now it's target practice. Pargo hits a 3.
Scalabrine had a wide open shot in the left corner. They need to look and take that shot with confidence because his team needs him offense.
So Al Jefferson and Joe Johnson have carried the load for Triplets, but now everybody's getting in the act. Pargo, triple trouble. Triplets rolling towards 5-1, up by 16. Tomorrow morning at 11 Eastern, CBS Sports Network is on the diamond for coverage of the National Youth Baseball Championships. Don't miss the 13 and under championship game right here on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Lisa Leslie mic'd up on the Triplets bench.
I told Teddy to make sure when you guys do that cross screen, when you roll back to look.
When I set up a joke?
Yeah, after you said it, turn and look. Teddy! Great job, good movement without the ball. You guys got to communicate. So the first screen came, and then Al, your guy screams Joe. He got caught on that, you know, so you got to talk early and let him know it's coming.
How do you like that talk?
I love it, because what she's saying is, you know, we don't want to depreciate the value of Big Al, especially when he sets a screen. When he sets a screen and a smaller guy switches on him in the paint, make sure you give him a look, because she's saying we can't get an easier basket with Al versus a smaller guy and mismatch in the paint after the Ball Hogs switches on the screening situation.
And Al Jefferson will set a screen. There's no question about it.
A mean screen.
Jefferson has a board here. Joe Johnson gets a rest. His former Arkansas teammate, Gennaro Pargo, on the wing. Jefferson takes it on Scal himself. He was disappointed he missed the last 2.
Whatever amount of points Al has in his career, probably 75% of them came on that move.
It's on the scouting report. Williams follows his miss. Throws it right back to the Triplets. Pargo with an easy 2. So Joe Johnson gets a break. You think he's earned that break? Johnson with 20. Gets a break right now. 15 straight points and 1 point for Joe Johnson. Time now for the B1 shot of the game. The early 4 from Joe Johnson.
Yeah, we talked about you have to guard Joe Johnson when he gets off the bus. Well, we're changing it. You have to guard him when he lands in Salt Lake City, because that's how much range he has from anywhere in Salt Lake City. Joe is playing with a lot of confidence. He knows they need this win. They don't want to lose another game, especially to a team that's 0-5.
And so they lost for the first time last week in Kansas City to Power. Now Power and Triplets tied atop the Big 3 standings. Triplets go to 5-1. You have first place all to yourself. And Joe Johnson and Lisa Leslie's team look like they are motivated off of the loss and moving towards 5-1 and first place all alone. That game versus Power last week in Kansas City was a classic.
Yeah, that was two Goliaths going at it, Joe Johnson and Corey Maggette.
20 in the game for Joe Johnson, gets a rest right now. Jamario Moon, you're in position for championship potentially with Triplets right now.
Wow, this is a sight we haven't seen.
That's
Joe
right.
Johnson getting a rest.
That's right. Actually looks like he's catching his breath. Good, well-deserved, wouldn't you say? Playing to 50. So Ball Hogs trying for one last push. Trying to avoid another double-digit loss and 0-6.
This could pay dividends for the Triplets, especially if Joe Johnson can rest the rest of the game, especially in preparation for next week's game.
And Al Jefferson now trying to close it out. He got a break. Joe Johnson took over. Stevenson, they've missed 7 straight shots, the Ball Hogs. 11-0 run for Triplets, 8 points away from the win.
The Ball Hogs, they're going to have to try a different strategy. Maybe, play 2 guys around the 4-point line, shoot threes.
Oh! Scal taking your advice, Avery.
You got to play from behind the 4-point line, which maybe take a couple of 4-point shots, or if the defense plays you, maybe get to the 3-point line, but you have to play outside of the paint.
Alan Anderson, former Michigan State Spartan, ordered by McDonald. Scal and McDonald, he thought about the 3. Stevenson's going to take it without Jefferson playing offense, so now you're starting to get that 3 going down.
Exactly, and this is a way that you can get back in the game in a hurry.
One of the reasons you have no game clock, because teams capable of coming back from huge deficits. This would be all time.
But for the Triplets, not defending the 3-point line, you allow the Ball Hogs to cut into the deficit.
Gennaro Pargo in the corner.
And if you take bad shots.
Stevenson, wide open. That was a big miss.
Lisa Leslie doesn't look very happy right now.
Alan Anderson, 3. Rattles it home. Alan Anderson bringing the Triplets within 5 points of 5-1.
I think Alan Anderson took a quick look at Lisa before he took that shot.
Good, bad, make. All right, we'll take it. And Stevenson answers with a 3. Pargo, yeah, he wants a clear out, right?
Yeah, he wants to clear out against Scalabrine. Get some room to make a 3 or take it to the basket.
Scal not backing down, D'ing it up, forcing the air ball. McDonald there to finish it up. It started with Scal's D.
And I just think the Triplets come up empty again because the Ball Hogs are on the 10-3 run. Expect Lisa Leslie to call timeout and get ISO Joe back in.
Out of the horn set, Anderson step in 3. 48 on the board for Triplets.
Alan Anderson said, not so fast, coach.
6 straight for Alan Anderson. Triplets trying to close it out and go to 5-1. McDonald tries the 4-pointer into the hands of Pargo. Haskett wins it for the Triplets and sends them to 5-1, alone atop the Big 3. Pargo on Scal to end it. Scalabrine floater. Al Jefferson has the board.
Probably should think about going to Al Jefferson.
Al for 3 to end it.
On the post, not from behind the 3-point line, Al.
You talked about 75% of shots were the hook in the post. I don't think a high percentage were from 3s.
That may be Al's first attempt, 3-point attempt in this building, in his career.
We'll see if he tries it again.
Got to go to Al on the box.
Anderson looking for him. Anderson ends it himself. Alan Anderson, the hot hand to close it out. Triplets are 5-1 alone atop the Big 3.
Al said, well, we couldn't get the ball to Al on the post, so I'm going to attack the mismatch. I had a favorable matchup against Scalabrine, and Allen Anderson is very effective going to his left with that one dribble pull-up.
Joe Johnson, 23. Jefferson leading the way early, and then Allen Anderson late. 8 straight late for Minneapolis's Allen Anderson. And the Triplets go to 5-1. Say the Ball Hogs to 0-6. Our TGI Fridays player of the game is, can you possibly guess who our player of the game is? I think Joe takes this one pretty easily, Avery.
Yes, we can give this award out blindfolded. We can just hear the fans every time he scored the basketball, the support and the love they gave him here in Salt Lake City.
So 23, you get the win, and now Joe Johnson is rested and ready for his interview with Brandon Tierney.
Yeah, Joe has the towel on. He's had the towel on for a couple of minutes. You got a chance to rest a little bit. You have one hand on the MVP trophy. You dropped 23. A lot of points early. I would imagine the goal come out and snuff out any hope for this team who was winless coming in.
Yeah, we wanted to jump on them early, set the tone early in the game, and I thought we did that, especially in the second half. We didn't get lackadaisical. We stayed with the game plan, and we outworked them.
Now, Joe, 20,000 points in the NBA, and you accomplished that in a couple of cities. Give us the scouting report on Utah Jazz fans. What are they all about?
Man, they love their Jazz. Maybe some of the best fans I've ever been around. I played 17 seasons, so to make a stop here in Utah, playing here for 2 years, I thought it was great, man. The fans are awesome. You look at them, they came out tonight and, gave us everything.
Is there a little extra, maybe concerted effort to get yourself, from Lisa's point of view, get Al Jefferson involved, make sure you don't disappoint the home fans, get you guys, especially Al, because you're going to get yours no matter what, but get Al involved?
Yeah, definitely, because he's our horse, man. We got to ride him, and every night he's probably going to have a mismatch because he got such a soft touch in the paint. So we really try to run a lot of plays for him, get him going.
By the way, I said one hand on the MVP trophy. Who's your main competition?
I don't know, man.
Come on, don't be humble, Joe.
I don't worry about that, honestly. Man, we got a great team. Obviously, adding Jamario Moon, I think it's going to take us over the top, so we're looking forward to that.
Joe's doing his thing. Thanks a lot, Joe. Appreciate it. Okay, guys, back to you. Humble Joe.
Humble Joe, Salty Joe, 7-time All-Star, maybe headed to MVP Joe Johnson behind. 23 from Joe Johnson. The Triplets move to 5-1, bouncing back from the loss to power. Triplets are now alone atop the Big 3 standings. Top 4 teams make the playoffs, and there is a clear separation. Killer threes. Triplets are now 5-1. Joe Johnson, welcome home. It's 4 now in Salt Lake. One more to go, the third in our Big 3 triple header.